Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to the Knits by Lillian podcast. It is the best time of year to be a knitter. It's fall, it's time for cables, it's time for colorwork, it's time for cardigans, it's time for burnt orange. It's the best time of the year if you ask me, and if you ask a lot of knitters. This is one of my favorite videos to make every year, and it's all of the patterns that I want to knit in fall of 2025. I probably won't get to all of these. Everything's gonna be linked on Ravelry. You can tell it's serious because I got the glasses on. We're taking this seriously. We're locked in. We're ready to go. We have a little assistant today. So grab your fall beverage of choice. Mine is iced coffee in a mug, so it looks like it's for fall. Someone accused me of being very Lorelai Gilmore, and I hadn't seen the show, and I now have, and I understand what that means. And it's unfortunately true. So if you're looking for inspiration for big, cozy, cabled pullovers, lots of color work, inspiration, let's go. Okay, so I tried to look for some patterns that I didn't see a ton of other people talking about. Obviously there's still going to be some overlap, but we're going for niche and things that I want to knit. So going for some new ideas, and something I've been seeing recently is the sort of neutral textured top of a pullover followed by textured and cabled body section. So good. That's me taking a bite of the apple because it's so crispy and the idea ate, right? You got that. So this is the Tessa sweater by Irene Lynn. If I look down, it's because I'm cheating and looking off of my notes, okay? So we've got an Aran gauge, 16 stitches by 23 rows, and I think that means it would fly. It's on like 5 to 6 millimeter needle, 6 sizes available. If you have not knitted an Irene Lynn pattern before, OMG, are you missing out? Because her design skills are insane. So the sweater has a finished body circumference of 48 to 66 inches, 122 to 166 centimeters. And she just has some of the most creative textured knits I think I've seen in a long time. So it looks to me like the top section is worked in a round yoke. That's at least part of it, I think, is. But how cool would this look in like a gray or a beige or a grayish, and then some pants that you would refer to as trousers, you know what I mean? Like kind of a structured brown pant. I think that would look so good. So I don't really have a ton to say about this. I haven't knitted it, haven't started it, but I have knitted her patterns before and I love them. So I think there's kind of nothing that can go wrong here. Next pattern. In the same vein of texture on top being different from the texture of the body, this is the Waffle Loop sweater by Other Loops. Now I will preface this with it's not particularly size inclusive. There's only 3 sizes. So I didn't realize that when I started it or when I bought the pattern. It goes for a chest circumference of 80 to 90 centimeters, and that's the small size, and then the large size is 100 to 115 centimeters. But that's with 15 to 30 centimeters of positive ease, so it's a little bit bigger than that in reality. But I thought this texture was so cool. The waffle situation texture, I love that. She actually has a couple other sweaters. I think there's a cardigan that's called, I just want to say it's called like the Waffle Loop sweater, but the whole cardigan is that texture, and I think it looks super cool. Very like structured but drapey at the same time. So I'm knitting this. I've already cast it on. It'll be in my next podcast episode most likely, but I'm doing it in knitting for olive, merino, and then the soft silk mohair held together because it's just a classic combination. And I've had that yarn in my stash kind of forever because I've been hoarding it because, you know, knitting for olive is kind of an expensive yarn. And then there's the whole situation where I live in the US, tariffs, and then we thought we weren't going to get knitting for olive for a long time. So I was like, oh, I really need to savor that. And then the day that I saw that knitting for olive was like, never mind, we're going to be able to ship to the US, I was like, all right, let's cast this on. I need to get this out of my stash. I've been trying to knit out of my stash. It's sort of going well. It's sort of not. I have a lot of like half a sweater's quantity worth of yarn, so I don't know. And then it's not the right weight to do color work with other things I have. I don't know. It's just kind of a mishmash. But this I do have. It's going to be a lovely like pinky burnt orange. I don't know if you can tell, but I love a burnt orange. Also, in a typical side tangent fashion, this is the Olga cardigan by Petite Knit. I did a very cropped version. You can't quite see, but it's quite cropped. And then the yarn here is Cascade 220 Super Wash. I'm not sure what the shades are, but I'll link everything below. Super fun, all over stockinette. It's like 4 to 6 row repeats. This is really addictive knitting because the rows, or the stripe rows, kind of keep you engaged, but the stockinette is like, it's stockinette, so it feels like you fly. I really do like how the stripe kind of continues down onto the ribbing. I think that's really fun. And then how the rib detail is kind of like the same width as a stripe. Anyway, lots of little details in here to love. Everybody knitted that last year, so I'm not really including it in my 2025 fall plans, but fun sweater for sure here. Okay, so while we're still talking about cables, I mentioned this pattern briefly in my last podcast episode, but it's just so good that I wanted to bring it back again. So this is the Stence Slipover by Les Knit. 24 stitch gauge on 4mm needles. It's in sizes extra small to 2XL, so a little bit better sizing here. And then the texture is so good. It's kind of that Guernsey, I don't know how to pronounce that. But like multi-textured stripe situation. Petite Knit did a couple patterns like this. I think it was Sandusgarn did a pattern like this. It's kind of like a tale as old as time, right? Like everyone's done this. It's its own sort of style. But I'm not usually a big vest and slipover girl, but I really like this one. And I'm trying to decide if what I like is the texture and the fabric of it, or do I just like the fact that it's a nice shade of brown? I think both. I kind of want to okay, I was looking at slipovers because I have all those weird quantities of yarn in my stash, and if I don't have enough for a sweater, I may have enough for a sweater with no sleeves. So I think this could be good. It looks like it's all sort of pretty basic lace and kind of knit one purl one sections. It doesn't look like there's anything really intense cabling, anything like that. So pretty confident in saying this could be done by most people. And I just love it. I think it looks so cool. The slipover really gives like dark academia to me. I feel like a vest is very like prep school. I don't know. I didn't go to prep school. So if you did, can you confirm, do you wear vests? But I feel like, you know, fall movies, people are always wearing a sweater vest. Harry Potter, I feel like people wear vests. I don't know. Not that we really love Harry Potter anymore. But I think it's cool. I think it looks really cool. I think it looks chic. I have knitted a few vests and slipovers. I just always give them away. So we'll come back to her. Okay, so I think that's most of the cabled things I have on here. I did want to just briefly mention the Siri Sweater, also by Les Knit. So I knitted the Siri cardigan last fall, I think, in pretty much the same color as it's shown here. 15 stitch gauge. So this flies. Let me tell you, this flew. Okay, so 3 cables down the middle. I love the horseshoe kind of interlocked cable situation. I think they look so cool. So obviously I'm a sucker for this. Love the cardigan. Kind of want to knit the sweater too. And it's a great stash buster because with the 15 stitch gauge, you can hold a few strands together if you want. So what I did last time was I had a bunch of loose half skeins of really light colored mohair from a bunch of projects I had. And then I think I held it all with, I want to say like a strand of Drops Air or like maybe an alpaca or something, and then also a wool. So I think I did 3 strands for my cardigan. But I timed myself knitting the cardigan version, and it took me like 20 hours or something, which really did not feel like a lot for a full-sized cabled garment. It looks so cool, and honestly I haven't really worn the cardigan a lot, and so I don't know what's up with that. So I gotta break her back out. This looks really fun. It looks like a quicker project compared to a lot of the all over cable. Okay, while we're talking about all over cable, and to give one that's not quick at all, this is the Shine Bobble sweater. by Sally Knit, 6 sizes, 17 stitch gauge. But are you seeing the cable pattern here? Like, this is crazy. And this feels more niche to me. It's only got 30 something projects on Ravelry, but it looks so cool. It kind of looks like the structure of the cable is kind of reminding me of like Japanese lace style. I feel like that, I don't know, like the geometricity, the geometric like diamonds interlocked kind of looks like something that you would see in like Japanese lace structures. I don't know, I just really like it. It looks so cool to me. And then the sleeves, it looks like are just done in a moss stitch, which I love the texture of moss stitch. I kind of want to do a full sweater in moss stitch just because I feel like it's such a classic. So I'm really excited about this. I think I want to do this in maybe like a light gray, or because I really like the sage green vibe that's going on here. Maybe like a lighter grayer sage green. I think that would look so cool. And then that kind of feels like could be like a spring piece as well. I don't know. Could be good. Lots of options here for sure. Okay. So speaking of all over texture moss, this sweater is called The Finest Kind by Alicia Plummer. Now I've seen a few people talking about this, but it is a 16 stitch gauge Aran weight, and it's a unisex jumper. So this is shown, I think it's the same, I think it's the same sample shown on both the male and female model wearing it. But it looks really cool. It's kind of like a Maine coastline inspired, like fisherman's style sweater. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 or 13 sizes. So that's a 2 thumbs up. That's a 2 thumbs up size range. And finished bust size from 36 inches to 80.5. That's great. Looks like about 10 inches of positive ease is recommended. Okay, so lots to talk about here and also not much to say, right? Love the texture, love the all over texture. I also love the little rolled collar detail. I think that's done really well, and I think it adds kind of a focal point for your eye to draw to instead of being lost in all of the texture. I think that's really cool. I also love how the smaller model has the sleeves rolled up. Okay. I always have these dreams of knitting like really oversized sweaters and then doing that like sleeve roll thing. The double cuff I feel like looks really cool, and then I get into it and I'm like, that's a lot of yarn, that's a lot of knitting time. And then I tend to knit sweaters that aren't quite that big, or I make the sleeves like the length for me to wear them, you know? So I think this would be a really cool, I don't know, like just giant oversized project. Plus, if I knitted it in like a, I don't know, like a grittier, grippier wool, I feel like it could be like an outer layer situation. Like if it's big enough for me to layer a couple things underneath, because it depends on the climate you live in. But for a lot of fall, I feel like I can wear in Michigan a sweater as a jacket. Like if I'm just going to the farmer's market, or I don't know, I'm running errands or something, and I don't really want to put on a full-on coat or a windbreaker or a rain jacket or something, I just wear a sweater and I just wear a big one and put things underneath it. So I think this would be perfect for that. I will say, in order to coatify your sweater, usually wool is best, because wool is way more weatherproof than like a cotton or anything, obviously. So if you use 100% wool, things that are less processed I find are better. But I'd love to do something with, I don't know, like a less processed, scratchier, more natural feeling fiber, and I feel like this would be a good project. Plus, it's also Aran weight, so I feel like if I were to knit something that was bigger and oversized, this would be better because the gauge is a little bit bigger, so it wouldn't take me 1,000 years like it would if I was knitting something really oversized on like fingering weight. Okay, I think this looks so cool, and sometimes I look at a pattern and I feel like the highest compliment I could ever give another designer is, why didn't I think of that? You know, like this design just looks like it's from the beginning of knitting time. Like why didn't I think of that design? Like it's so simple but so creative. It's great. All right, this is what I mean by I have a lot to say and also nothing to say. Okay, so let's see, should we dive into some color work? Let's dive into some color work. Okay, speaking of designs, why didn't I think of this? This looks so cool. Now I've been neck deep in my own sort of leaf and floral color work round yoke pullover. So looking at someone else's that's kind of similar vibes, I'm like, wait, this looks amazing. So I do love the switch from the main color being the white at the top of the collar to the main color being the brown at the bottom. That's really cool. I knitted a pattern by, I think it's Rebecca Clow, the Crayabea, last year, maybe 2 years ago. And I'm totally blanking on what the name of the sweater is, but I'll link it. And it's the same thing, like you start with the main color and then halfway through, like you finish your color work and then it finishes with a different color. And that was so creative too. I love this. I also love the white and brown here. I knitted the Lume Pullover by Sari Nordland last year for my mom for Christmas. And I think I have to just knit the same exact thing for myself because I talk about this sweater in like every video. And it was brown, I did it in an alpaca, and then all of the color work was white. So it kind of, that also has, it's also round yoke and it's also got a big floral motif kind of as the bottom of the color work. And it's really reminding me of this, and I think if I knitted this, I could get that other one out of my head that apparently just lives rent-free, but I think it just looks so cool. It also looks really fun. Okay, so 10 sizes, also a 16 stitch gauge. This one says it's worsted. And the size goes from, hang on, finished bust fullest point of torso plus ease 36 inches to 70 inches. Great size range. This to me feels like a project that would fly because I feel like color work is so addictive, and then add a gauge that's a little bit bigger, you're just flying through, and then once you get through the color work, the body seems like it goes so quick because you're just doing the single color stockinette. I just love color work. I think it's so fun. So I'm really loving the look of this. Something else too about this, so I talked about in my last podcast, I mentioned the Harriet Sweater by Les Knit. I'll just talk about it here too. This is the Harriet Sweater by Les Knit. Got some all over color work going across the whole body. Similar vibe where the color work isn't kind of over the full thing, except this one's not a round yoke. Much better size range on this one than some of her other patterns as well. Actually, no, I'm lying. She has good size ranges. What am I saying? She has double extra small to 5XL. Better than some of the ones we talked about in the beginning, for sure. Full width of the sweater is 114 centimeters to 160 centimeters. Okay, so I say all of this to say I really like the brown tweed background. I think the fact that the brown tweed main color has white flecks in it and then the color work is done in white, that looks so cool to me. And I don't know what it is about that detail, but I'm really obsessed with that. So not much more to say here. 21 stitch gauge. I just love the like oversized slouchy look. I think it looks so cool. Okay, so I mentioned that just to talk about the tweed, and I kind of want to do this bloom pullover. Also, I don't know if I mentioned by Brianna Mason. And I've said this before, but everything will be linked in the bio. So I really want to do a tweed base, a brown tweed base with this color work. I think it would look so cool. The thing is, I just have to make sure it's not too tweedy. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I think if you have yarn that's like really tweed, it kind of starts to look like its own color work, or it'll look like there are random stitches like interspersed throughout that have like single stitch color work. It kind of looks like you went back in and like duplicate stitched a design in some of these really tweedy yarns. I say this to say sometimes if you do color work with a yarn like that, it'll make your color work look kind of funky, because if, for example, the tweed is white and your color work is white, it can make the color work not look clean and crispy because it'll look like there's a white stitch where you meant to have a brown stitch, or you know what I mean? But I think a tweed would look so cool. I saw this pattern a couple days ago and I've just been thinking about it constantly, so I might cast this on soon. It also, I'm just in a big colorwork yoke phase. It really makes me want to design another colorwork yoke that has maybe not like the same floral, because I just did one like this, but mostly the starting with one main colorwork section, finishing the body in a different main color. I don't know, I really like that detail. I kind of forgot about it since from when I knitted the Crayons one like that. So okay, I don't know, I love it. I think it's cool. What else? Man, I'll link my whole fall 2025 Ravelry bundle because there's a lot in here and I'm not going to discuss all this. Okay. We got time for a couple more, right? The Baguette Jacket, by assuming Kim. So cool. So cool. Okay, so this is part of what I love about fall. All of these have like an 18, 16 to 20 stitch gauge. So this is an 18 stitch gauge on 4.5 millimeter needles. And I am obsessed with the zigzag going down the front. So it kind of looks like half of a diamond cable is on either side of the button placket to me. And what a cool idea. Again, why didn't I think of that? That's so cool. It looks like you split a cable down the middle. And when it's buttoned up and laying there, it looks just so, I don't know, so beautiful. Like this looks like a knit that you would see in H&M. And I mean that in the highest compliment way. Like this looks, it's that fine line, right, between being trendy and modern and wearable and classic and timeless and will never go out of style. And I think this is just perfect. Okay, another thing I love, I got too worked up there. I just think it's so beautiful. The other half of that timeless doesn't look handmade in the best way. I think is another detail that really contributes to that is the way the collar is attached. This has a double folded collar, which I feel like you don't see as often on cardigans. And I really, really like this. I think the detail looks so nice. I love the contrast that thicker collar gives to the rest of the body. I don't know, I love it. I love everything about this. I love the color. I love the buttons they chose. It just looks so cool. I love cables and the texture is just so crispy, crunchy. You know what I mean? I would take a bite out of this sweater in the best way. It looks so good. I know you know. Okay. Let's see. This is so fun. I'm just scrolling through going, what should we talk about now? Okay, so Irene Lynn is another one of my favorite designers. Now, this is kind of taking a step back from like the dark academia fall vibes, and this is kind of giving more like late summer to me, which honestly is more realistic because in Michigan, the end of August, beginning of September got so chilly, and now like it was 55 degrees, rainy, Fahrenheit, sorry, I know, criminal. And then now we're back to like 75, 80, 85, humid, hot. So realistically, probably a good idea to have like a transition piece in there because I know it's gonna be warm, or there's still gonna be warm days for a while. So like, I can't lie to you, I put this wool cardigan on, but I'm wearing shorts because it's toasty. Okay, so Irene Lynn is a fantastic designer. Her designs are so interesting. I think I already went through this, right? So this is the drift sweater. And I love that this is kind of giving like crochet vibes. I feel like you see that kind of wavy, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of between like a shell stitch and like a chevron motif. I feel like you see that a lot more in crochet than you do in knit. And the color work and the contrast is so cool. I'm really tempted, this is a 17 stitch gauge worsted. I'm really tempted to do that in the same colors as I have this. Sorry, okay, my camera died there, but we're back. Anyway, I just think this sweater looks really cool. I think there are so many ways that you could go with a color combination for this. I do love that she's got one high contrast and one lower contrast suggested, or not suggested, but shown sample. The other color combination I've really been wanting to do is kind of something that I never knit with, but I'd love to do like a bright tomato red and a bright like hot pink together. I think that looks really cool. Or maybe not a hot pink, but like a really red and then a pink. Because I feel like I've seen a couple of like all over colorwork sweaters that have that color combination and it looks really cool. And that's not really, like I don't wear a lot of pink. I think my face and my skin tone are very red. And so I feel like red looks good as a color for me and orange looks good as a color for me, but pink usually doesn't. But I think if I did pink as the contrast and red as the base, or vice versa, I think the red, what I'm trying to say is I think the red would soothe it out enough. Okay, so I don't know, there's just a million ways you could go with this. You could do like a sage green and then like a dark emerald green. That would look so cool. Lots of ways to go here. I will say it does only have 4 sizes, so it's not the most inclusive. So just keep that in mind. Okay. While we're talking about color work, if you're a real one, you'll remember I talked about this last year. But I haven't had the courage to cast it on. So this is called the Iris Sweater by Trin Annalise. Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze here. And it is all over color work, steeked in a light fingering weight gauge, 28.5 inches on 3 and 3.5 millimeter needles. So it's a little intimidating, it's a little ominous, but it also, like, this is art, you know? The color choices, the motif, like, it's just, I'm in awe. Like, it's just perfection. I spent a lot of time looking at this pattern last year. It might actually be in my fall 2024 pattern video, or I can't remember. I talked about it at some point. And I spent a lot of time looking for a color palette to do this in. But I feel like I would just go with the colors she chose. Like, it looks, I don't know, it looks so good. I would, at the bare minimum, keep the light background. I feel like with so much color work, if I did a darker background, it would just look really muddled. I kind of want to see some more green in there though. So I want a little pop. I love the mustard yellow and kind of the maroon situation on those, like, I don't know, like little diamonds. I think that combo looks really cool. I love the blue. I kind of want to do the leaves of the flower or the tulip situation in a really green, or like a teal green. I think that would be, not that it really needs another pop of color, to be honest, but I love when you do color work for like an all over color work sweater and it's so much color that it kind of turns into like one motif, one look, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's an amount of color work you can do where you can add enough colors that it's not too much. I feel like you know what I mean. It does say that there is a photo tutorial with guide for casting on, like at the shoulders and everything. So that's pretty cool. It also, so there's only 6 sizes, but there's a pretty big range. The sizes go from 44.5 inch circumference, chest circumference, to 78 inches. So I think it's intended to be worn, sorry, I'm still trying not to sneeze, with quite a bit of positive ease, but I think that's, yeah, so 16 inches of positive ease. But I think this would be really good. Okay, I gotta go sneeze. Okay, we've talked about a lot of patterns, and I've saved kind of the most basic staple and the most wild out there pattern for my last 2, because contrast and juxtaposition. So, hope you liked the fancy word I learned in college English class. Gotta use it at some point. This is the Paul Cardigan by Moreka Knit. And it's, I don't want to say it's just a stockinette cardigan because it's got some cool details, but fashion functionally, it's just a stockinette cardigan. And I love that. I love a V-neck cardigan. It looks like it's either, actually, you know what, I'm not sure what the construction is. I will say I love the detail of kind of the line across the back and down the arm. I think that looks really cool. And so there are some things that set it apart, and that's why I picked it. It also looks like it fits very, very well. We've got a 22 stitch gauge. It's a little bit smaller than a lot of the more Aran weight pullovers we've been looking at. Comes in sizes extra small through 3XL. Bust circumference of 31.5 inches to 51.25. Actually, I lied. That's the sizes it's designed to fit. So then it's 10 inches approximately bigger than that, because it's recommended 10 inches of positive ease. Okay. I think I might do this if I knit this in a really similar color. I really just want to do like a plain gray cardigan. I think that's something I would wear a lot, get a lot of use out of. So I think I would just keep that as is. Now, for the contrast, I would love this to be the year that I knit a Dale of Norway pattern. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot of color work, it's a lot of commitment, but I think it would be really cool. So, context, my family's Norwegian. My dad's whole family is Norwegian. We always grew up talking about Norway and Norwegian sweaters, and it was always just kind of a part of life. And I think it would be a really cool nod to that to knit my own. When we lived in Alaska, there was this woman who owned a sweater shop. Not really a yarn shop, just Dale of Norway sweaters. Her name was Pia. I think she was also Norwegian or maybe Swedish. Sweetest woman ever. And she would help us pick out sweaters when we would come in, my sister and I, and it was so fun. We were just like ecstatic to have these fancy sweaters, and they were like our prized possessions. And it's so funny because I like have not grown since I was like 12, really, height wise, so I can still wear the one that I got when I was a kid. And I've taken a bunch of pictures of it. It's like the body is black, and then the color work is like this light blue and white, and then I think a red and a darker like navy cobalt blue. And I've taken a bunch of pictures of it because I've like for years I've taken pictures of it every time I visit my parents because I want to knit a version of it, and I think it would be doable. But I think I would be a lot more confident to do that and write up my own pattern and kind of self-draft that if I did an actual Dale of Norway pattern. So Florence Miller did a knit along last year where a lot of people knit like the old Olympic Dale of Norway sweaters, because a lot of the like ski teams every year or every Olympic year would have like their own sweater dedicated to them. So anyway, I know it's possible. I was in the Discord for that even though I didn't end up knitting it myself. So I might have a look through the patterns. I really like this one, but I don't know. I might take a look through some more because I don't know if I'm that committed to this specific one. But I love the motif on this. It kind of looks like a shield, or like a, what's it called when like a crest, like a familial crest. Your family has this like logo from the Middle Ages. I think that's kind of cool. All right, so this would be a big undertaking. I do think at some point it would be cool to knit one for my dad because he's Norwegian, and I think he would really appreciate it. He's like one of the most knit-worthy people to knit for. I've knitted a couple sweaters for him. He loves them. So I might get one, but I anticipate this taking a long time. It's 24 stitch gauge. The sizes, I think this is the one from 1994. I think it might just be the original pattern because the size options say child 2 to 12 years, adult small, medium, large, extra large. It's available for free, but only in Norwegian. So can I translate another pattern? I don't know. Can I translate this pattern? Maybe. I think most of it would be charts, so maybe I'm gonna take a look at it and see. But I would love this to be the year that I knit that. Okay. I think that's pretty much everything I have to talk about today. Actually, one more. Let me squeeze one more in. This is the Hanna Sweater by Suzanne Mueller. And it is the prettiest, chunkiest, oversized cable I've seen in a long time. It's only got 4 sizes, so keep that in mind. I feel like I've said that a few times, and I'm disappointed because usually I really try to talk about patterns that are size inclusive, but I feel like here we're mostly going for the vibe and not necessarily this specific pattern. I am a sucker for horseshoe cables. I said it before, I'll say it again. This feels like similar to Lanett's Siri Pullover and Cardigan, but just cables over the whole thing. And the pictures feel very like 2010 Pinterest in a cute way. And I don't know, maybe I'll do my own because I kind of want this but a raglan, so maybe I'll design something or just like draft something up. But I love this. It's a 21 stitch gauge, so it would go pretty quickly. And I love the long oversized fit to drop shoulder. I don't know, there's a lot to love here. It just looks squishy, you know? The yarn just says DK plus lace, and it's a bulky weight, so I don't know, bulky weight but a 21 stitch gauge. I don't know. I love it. I think this looks so cozy. Sitting by the fire, big puffy socks on. Come on. Come on. Okay, now we're actually done. Thanks for watching. Check out my last podcast for more details on what I'm actually knitting. Keep an eye out for my next podcast to see which of these I cast on. I will say I cast on the Waffle loop sweater, and I'm already through a good chunk of that. So, making progress there. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. And thanks for watching. If you made it this far, we'll see you next time. Bye.